Be who you are and be resilient to that truth. The tour is but one. Doubts are but of thine own raising. The knowledge of self is paramount to health, and health begets wealth. Though if you are listening, child of the sun, you cannot skip step one, gaining the knowledge of self. Welcome, children of light, to another exploration of the self. In this, we will be breaking down the significance of knowledge and the significance of self. What is knowledge? How does know when one has obtained knowledge? What is self? How does one know that thine are studying they self? Question we will come to face, and questions that we all must come to answer. So let's answer, child. What is knowledge? Ah, child of light, the pursuit of knowledge has been extolled through the ages, and rightly so. In the book of Proverbs it is written, "For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her." Proverbs 8:11. Knowledge, dear one, is the light that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It is the awareness and understanding of the truths and principles that govern the universe and our lives within it. But knowledge is not merely an accumulation of information or facts. It is the deep comprehension and internalization of wisdom, the application of understanding to life's decisions and actions. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks to Arjuna about the power of knowledge. There is no purifier akin to knowledge in this world. A man perfected by yoga finds it naturally within himself in due course of time. Bhagavad Gita 4:38. This points to the transformative and purifying power of true knowledge, which aligns one with the divine. Similarly, in the Taoist tradition, Laozi speaks of the importance of acknowledging what we do not know. To know what you do not know is best. To think you know when you do not is a disease. Tao Te Ching 71. This humility is integral to the acquisition of true knowledge. The ancient Egyptian texts also emphasize wisdom and knowledge. In the teachings of Tahotep, it is stated, "If you are a man of understanding, hear the sayings of one who understands. To be good is a great celebration." Here, we see the importance of seeking out and meditating upon the words of the wise. Therefore, knowledge is 1. Awareness. It is the recognition and understanding of truths, processes, and relationships in the universe. 2. Application. It is not merely theoretical but must be lived and applied in daily life. 3. Humility. It involves acknowledging our limitations and remaining open to continual learning. 4. Transformation. It is a transformative force that purifies and elevates the soul. 5. Wisdom. Finally, it is intrinsically linked to wisdom, which is the right and just application of what one knows. How does one find knowledge? It could be the knowledge of goods, of trade, of self. But how does one know they are seeking knowledge? They say that the way to knowledge is through labor, and careful attention bring her to the port. But what could that mean? Labor and attention required to bring knowledge to port metaphorically depict the diligent and painstaking effort needed to attain wisdom. Just as a ship sails through turbulent waters towards a safe harbor, so too does the seeker navigate through the challenges and complexities of life to reach the shores of understanding. Diligence and hard work. Knowledge is acquired through disciplined study and practice. The Greek philosopher Aristotle stated, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." Effort and perseverance are essential in the quest for wisdom. Mindful attention. It requires focus and mindfulness. Yeshua said, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." Matthew 11:15. This emphasizes attentive listening and deep contemplation to truly grasp the subtleties of knowledge. Experiential learning. Knowledge often comes through lived experiences, trials, and reflections. As Lao Tzu, stated in the Tao Te Ching, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." True wisdom involves an inward journey and the understanding of one's inner self. Let's speak more of understanding this knowledge. Integration of paths, empirical and intuitive balance. The ancients often used intuition and spiritual insight to uncover truths, while modern science employs empirical methods and rationality. Both approaches are not mutually exclusive, but rather complementary, each enriching the other. Quantum mysticism concepts from quantum physics, such as entanglement and the uncertainty principle, resonate with mystical ideas about the interconnectedness of all things and the limitations of human perception. Holistic understanding. Both ancient mystics and modern scientists strive for a holistic understanding of the universe. The former through spiritual disciplines and practices, the latter through interdisciplinary approaches, combining physics, biology, and psychology. Now, in this inquiry, we are curious in coming to know the knowledge of self. But what is the self? How can we identify the self? How do you know we are studying this self? In Islam, they would say that the American acronym of self would be I, self, law, am, master. To simplify the matter and have a framework identify with, we split the self into two domains, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of the primordial creative force. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. A great sage once said, "If you ask me what to study, I would say yourselves, and you well have studied them, and then you would ask me what to study next. I would reply, yourselves." Now, how can C identify this from a scientific POV? Science, modern neuroscience, provides us insights that practices like mindfulness and meditation can be potent methods to enhance the function of the prefrontal cortex. Research by neuroscientists like Dr. Richard Davidson has demonstrated that these practices can increase neural connectivity, leading to elevated empathy, self-regulation, and moral well-being. Mindfulness meditation, for instance, can reshape your brain in beneficial ways that align closely with the qualities of the higher self, resonating with divine attributes. Lower self, limbic system, function. The limbic system, with the amygdala at its core, embodies our primal, instinctual side, manifesting as the lower self. This includes basic drives and emotions tied to survival, fear, anger, and unbridled desires. It is, as described by your ancient texts, the carnal self, plagued by hatred, slander, lust, and other destructive tendencies. Now this leads us with a closing question. What would you do now? Will you reach forever toward your highest level of self?